save on.
Hi, I'm Brett Twigg, Sales Engineer at StorageCraft. With this StorageCraft tech tip, let's look at hardware-independent restore and how we can use that to restore a system to dissimilar hardware, or even from a physical to a virtual or virtual to a physical. The first thing is I'm going to boot into the recovery environment so that I can start my restore. We'll boot into the StorageCraft recovery environment and go in and select the actual 2008 R2 recovery environment that has the best driver support. It'll come up in a Windows PE for a recovery environment, and I can go ahead and say OK to select my network drivers, and it will load up my network card with the appropriate drivers. Here I can go in and map a network drive. I've got my IP address from a DHCP server, and I'm going to go in and select a drive letter that I want to use for a map drive, and then the path to my actual images. In this case, my images are stored on my NAS device on a share called backup data in a folder called file server. I'll put in the appropriate credentials so that I can access that share and say map drive. Now I have a drive mapped to my images. I can now go ahead and close these dialog boxes and go up and say restore from the task menu, or over here on my main window just say restore. Either way, this will take me into the restore wizard. Now in the restore wizard I can click next, say that I want to do a restore, and I'll browse out to where my images are located, in this case on the computer, the new map drive that I just created. I'll select that and say open. I'll pick the point in time that I want to recover to and say open. Select next, look at the dependency chain, and everything looks okay there for all the images that are needed to restore it to this point in time. I'll select the volume that I want to restore that to. If needed, I could actually go in and do some partition operations here. And then we'll select finalize. And when I say next, finalize will set the partition as active and restore the MBR, but the most critical part is allow me to do the hardware independent restore, or HIR. I can check this box and go into some advanced options as needed. If there's specific ways that I want to load my drivers as far as how they are matched, whether it's low matches or high matches only. But more importantly, I can say next, and it will go in and lay down all the data that I've just selected and then do the hardware independent restore. Hardware independent restore is actually a separate piece from laying down the data in our restore process. The advantage to this is if for some reason some of the drivers are incorrect, we can come back and just redo the hardware independent restore piece without having to lay the data down again. Now that it's laid down the data, I can go in and see, if we look here under details, that it's actually going in and doing my HIR configuration. So it's currently going through stripping out the drivers from the old platform, putting in the drivers for the new platform. This allows me to move from a physical to a virtual environment, or between dissimilar hardware, or even from a virtual to a physical environment. Any direction works, because you don't have to worry about blue screens and problems trying to boot your system. We'll put in the drivers that are needed for that new platform and make it really easy for you to get up and running quickly. Now that it's finished the HIR and the hardware independent restore piece, I can go in and boot my system back up. If for some reason I boot my system up and I still don't have the right drivers, it's easy to come back into the recovery environment and go over here to HIR configuration. I can run the HIR configuration independently on a volume because it's separated from laying the data down during that restore process. So I could go in here and select the C volume and say start, and go ahead and run the HIR process again independently. The HIR process allows you to get up and running quickly as you restore a new system, even if it is to dissimilar hardware or to a different environment. It's just that easy to restore a system with ShadowProtect.